and welcome to The Fat Squirrel Speaks. Today is Tuesday, August 5th, and this is episode 116, 17, something like that. Hi, how are you? I am Amy Beth, your hostess, also known as The Fat Squirrel on Ravelry and The Fat Squirrel SQRL on Instagram. Today's show will contain shenanigans. Like, they're not really full-on shenanigans. One of them is kind of a shenanigan, but I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to tell you about it. This is kind of an odd one. I mean, that kind of builds it up more than it really is, but whatever, we'll cross that bridge. It'll contain spinning and knitting and shameless self-promotion. So let's get into it, okay? Okay. I'm looking kind of orange. I don't know what that's about. Hey, camera, what's up with you? Why are you looking a little orange? I don't have jaundice, I promise. My kidneys are functioning well. Go kidneys! Go all my stuff that moves right. Yay! So what should we talk about? Okay, shenanigans! Mini style. We really didn't do that much this week. We're getting ready for school. School is back in session. We did go to the pool on Thursday, and it was fabulous. It was a little cool. I'm not complaining. It was beautiful, and there was nobody there. Awesome. So awesome. For the first, I'm guessing hour we were there. Maybe longer. Our pool that's next to our house has like a splash area that's got like a little wading poolish thing for kids and spray and like things to climb on. So it's got like the kids area, and then it has like the slide area, and then it has the a swimming pool that's like 5 foot deep. Well, really it's anywhere from 4 to 5 feet deep, but it is like the bigger pool. For like at least the first hour, there was not even anybody else in the bigger pool. It's just me and the kid. It's pretty awesome. Usually I get kind of bored. I'm not gonna lie, because you can't. I'll knit just about anywhere, but the pool, not so much. So there was like a little bit of like, so usually I'm like, oh, this is a little boring, but there was nobody there. Well, there were very few people there, so actually we had the whole pool to ourselves, so we could do all of the silly stuff that you usually are like, oh, we probably shouldn't do that because it's gonna splash other people. So like we were tossing the water frisbee, and we were like doing the football thing, the water football thing, and I was just flapping my arms to the lifeguards and Jesus. It was good. It was good stuff. And what else did we do? Oh, we had like water races. That was awesome. I ran a lot in the water, which was so cool. I love to run in the water. I mean, run meaning like you're taking big strides, like you're running. You're not like going any speed at all. But I just love it because you like ride piggyback, and I would run through the water, and like your legs get so tired. It's awesome. Anyway, so that was fun. I don't know why. Sometimes my internal editor takes a nap. This is one of those times. So that was fun. What else did we do? We didn't really do anything else. Back to school. Today, oh my gosh. Today, so the morning of school, I took her the first day. So then the afternoon, the bus schedule she's on says that she's home at a very reasonable time. But I figured like, okay, she's gonna be late because it's her first day. And she was. She was like 20 minutes later than the schedule said. Again, I thought the schedule was a little bit like unrealistic. So like that was not alarming to me. But then today, when she was 45 minutes late, I kind of freaked out a little bit. Not bad, but I freaked out just a little bit. I had to call the transportation office and be like, where's my child, please? And they were like, well, we've GPS'd her bus, and it is in your area, so she should be there any minute. And I'm like, why is she this late? They're like, well, she had to switch buses. No, that was not why. Apparently, it's because the bus driver was just driving around in circles for half an hour. By the way, she still had like 10 other kids on her bus. So their parents, I'm sure, were having a conniption. Just driving in circles. The cross section that she has to stop at is like a major road. Like, we live like, there's a large highway, and our road that's across the street for her bus stop is an exit off of the highway. So you know it's a major road. It's between and then our little street is between two stoplights of also relatively well-known streets. Not like, you know, like not little tiny subdivision streets. Like major streets that run like as primary roads through the city. Okay, not primary roads through the city, that's an exaggeration. But they're known. This woman couldn't find it. She just couldn't find it. So I felt bad for her, but I was also like, really? And I was also like to my child, because again, I'm sure my child was disoriented. She is only 7. But she was driving through the park that's like a block from our house. Like, how could she not help the bus driver get from the park to our house? I'm sure she just didn't know, like, if she was allowed to say anything. Because she's like that. Or maybe the bus driver was just, like, not interested in her input because she is 7 and Lord knows where she would take her. But oh my Lord. Full on over an hour late. An hour and 7 minutes past the scheduled time. I'm supposed to go get the child tomorrow after school because she's trying karate out. I'm almost afraid to because I'm afraid to confuse this bus driver any further. Although who knows, it'll be a different bus driver. At the beginning of the year, it's always crazy. At least in a public, like a city school system where there's like 1 million kids and 1 million buses. But really? Anywho. That was a tirade I didn't mean to take. Sorry. I held you captive on that one, didn't I? Sorry. That's what this show's about, apparently. Okay, so let's talk about knitting and spinning. Let's talk about spinning first. And I'll tell you my other shameful shenanigan. Shame-again. Did you hear that? That was the sound of a plastic bag opening. I'll tell you something. Okay, so last week I told you, I think I said Superwash BFL was the fiber from last year's SSK, the Super Summer Knit Together. It was in fact just BFL. And it was by Into the World, and it was in the Don't Plink colorway. Don't blink. Don't plink. Don't play Plinko, people. No, do. Plinko away. So this is it skeined up. It's a 3-ply, because I really dig 3-plies. And this seemed like a good colorway to do it in because it's really mostly 2 colors and then the variants in between. And those 2 colors are close to each other on the wheel of color. And I got, let's see, what did I get? About 200 yards out of 4 ounces. So yay, it's very pretty. It's brushy and good. So I like that. I don't know what it will be. Something exciting. Then, last week I showed you this on the bottom. I will confess, this is my Spun Right Round Polworth in the Picnic colorway. And last week when I showed it to you on the bobbin, I was really nervous because, not about showing you to you on the bobbin, I just mean when I had plied it onto the bobbins and I was just looking at the bobbins, I was really like, I'm not sure how I feel about this, but now I like it. So this is 8 ounces and it's about 470 yards. I totally like it now, right? It was just like only one of these like bits of color shows is like, and it was like one of the brown and pink sections. And I was really like, what have I done? But now that it's all living together, I love it again. So yay, that. And then here's my shame again about this. I'm so afraid to tell you this. Don't judge me, okay? Like for realsies. Usually I say it in joking style because I don't care. But this one, if you judge me, I will feel bad. So don't judge me. If you're feeling judgy, just fast forward for a few minutes. Okay, like 7 because I can't tell a story in a few minutes. Let's just be honest about that. Oh. Anyway, so okay, it was on the, I put it on the skein, but I did get that new skein winder from Shocked. It's beautiful. Maybe I'll show it to you someday. I can't do it right now because it's like big and it won't fit in the screen. Anyway, so I washed it. I put it on in the house to dry, but it was taking a really long time to dry because it's 8 ounces, right? That takes a long time. So it's still kind of damp, and even actually the 4 ounces was still a little damp. So when we went to the pool that day, I thought, oh, I'll just put it out on the rail on our back porch. And then when I come back and get it, it'll be dry, and that'll be fabulous. It'll just get that last little bit of dampness out of there. So when I get home, I go to pick it up and I notice there's a bunch of flies on it. But like, that doesn't seem that weird because it is outside and it did seem like a lot of flies. But I was like, don't be weird. It's just nature. Should have been weird. Anyway, but I was like, oh shit. I've had yarn outside. I mean, okay. You've all put yarn out to dry, right? Okay, maybe not all of you. But those of you who spin or dye yarn or just for funsies dye yarn, like sometimes you put it outside to dry, right? Like that's a totally legitimate thing. Right? I'm not alone. How many skeins of yarn have I put outside to dry? Like hundreds. Hundreds. Never had a problem. Till now. So I bring the yarn in, I twist it up into a hank, I take a picture of it for Instagram because I'm so proud of it. Yay, it's so cute. And then I leave it on the kitchen table because I'm going to podcast about it, so I don't want to put it away. Which is cute because that would imply I would put things away immediately, which would never happen anyway. But we'll just say it's because of the podcast. And also, like, I usually just like to like look at them for a little bit before I put them away. So it's on the table. And it's right next to the other BFL, the smaller one I just showed you. Like they've had, their whole life has been together. I washed them, not in the same water, but at the same time, put them to dry at the same time, took them out at the same time, brought them in at the same time, twisted them up at the same time. Okay? Okay. So then, the next day, Toph and I are playing a board game, and I look over at my yarn, lovingly, like, oh, it's pretty, and I'm like, what is that on my yarn? I'm like, I pick up my yarn. Are you ready? Are you gonna get grossed out? If you get grossed out by bugs, skip forward. There are totally larvae on my yarn. And by larva, I mean larva. They are moving. They are not inert white specks. They are clearly insect babies. There's not 2 or 3. There are multitudes. Okay, multitudes is exaggerating. Okay, but there are more than 50. What the what? There's nothing on the other skein. Nothing. How is this possible? Okay, I immediately freak out. Not because I'm freaked out by the bug aspect. I mean, that's not ideal, right? But I immediately freak out because I'm like, oh no. It can't be like fly, right? Because I look up immediately, because immediately I'm like, it's flies. And I wonder how this never happened before. But maybe I just got like the right super prego fly who just needed to leave her baby somewhere. So I look up fly larvae and it's all like, no, flies won't lay. Nobody specifically says that flies won't lay eggs on wool. I don't know why nobody's checked on this before. Am I the only one? Anyway, I don't know. So I promise I did not wash it in like dirty eggshells. I promise it was real. It was a good wash. It's just like the other one. Anyway. So I look up and it's like, oh, flies will not lay their eggs on anything that their larvae cannot eat because obviously that would not be wise. And larvae only can eat because originally I was like, oh, it's protein because it's wool, and therefore the fly maybe was confused, or maybe the flies can eat it in the larval stage. I don't know. So I immediately look up if flies will eat wool, and they apparently don't. I could not find any other information. Why do I look so orange? I don't know what's happening. Anyway, maybe it's this blue shirt. Anyway, maybe I'm more sunburned than I realized from waiting for the bus for an hour today. There, I look less orange. Okay, I'll back up. Anyway. So I'm looking everywhere. There's like documentations of a certain kind of fly that actually will like burrow into a sheep and like do some harm that way. But that is a very specific thing. And I don't think that's what this fly is. Because I mean, it just looked like there didn't seem to be anything strange. And by the way, it was full on daylight. Okay, so I'm like looking up the fly thing and I'm like really wigging out. And it's like, no, it will not leave it. And even fruit flies will not leave their eggs on anything except like decaying fruit. And so then I'm like, oh, if insects are geniuses in this way, then clearly it is a clothes moth or a casement moth or something that eats wool. And I have just like, by the worst stroke of luck ever, and by playing the odds, I've left yarn out hundreds of times, I have somehow got clothes moth larvae on my wool. And then I really freak out and immediately lose my mind. Nobody in my family is nearly as alarmed as I am. I don't know why. They're just watching me wind up like a top. So I'm freaking out, like, oh my gosh, I'm like looking up at pictures of larvae, like studying them. By the way, before I have gone into research mode, I should clarify. Before I've gone into research mode, I was in murderous mode, in which I put my yarn in the sink and then poured boiling water on it. So, like, at this point, I'm like trying to study if any of these larvae can survive boiling temperatures, which apparently they cannot. They really can't even survive warm water, like hot water. But we boiled just to make sure. Oh yes. Oh yes, we did. So like I have like my sink is like a little sink and a big sink. So I put the yarn in the little sink and then like boiled multiple kettles of water until it was full. And then I checked it, because this is how crazy I am. I checked the temperature of the water after I added the last kettle in, just to make sure it hadn't gone down too far in the time it took to boil all those kettles. Those things were dying. That's all there is to it. Murder. So I'm like looking, so that's just FYI. There are not like bugs flying around my house while I'm doing this research and I'm just like blindly ignoring them. No, they're all dead. But I have to know what's going on. Just in case. Maybe one rogue guy jumped off. So I'm doing so much research to try to look up all the different clothes, like all the wool eating moths and like all of their life cycles. Apparently none of them could this be, because all of them take from egg to larval stage like more than 4 days, from what I could find. If you're an entomologist, you know better, tell me. But according to the internets, who I have to trust in this situation, everything said in excess of 4 days from an egg to a larval thing. By the way, these things are very tiny. They're not like they're not like they're not like big gross mealwormy things. Like they're tiny. Like they are at most a 1/16 of an inch long. I'm looking, I have my cutting mat down. That's what I'm checking, just for reference. They're tiny. Oh wait, that's 1/8 of an inch, isn't it? Half, quarter, eighth. Okay. They are less than 1/8 of an inch long though. They're tiny. They're itty itty. I mean, you can see them with naked eye, but you can't see detail. Anyway, so I'm looking everywhere and I still don't know what it is. Do you know what it is? Am I an awful, I feel like it's not anything that's my fault, because I don't charm insects, so I don't know why I think it's my fault. But like, again, these two skeins were next to each other the whole time. It's not like I like rubbed them in like dirty fly ooze at any one point. Or whatever. Anyway, I really freaked out, and they were both in quarantine. And I just kept checking on them periodically. A, because I kind of sickly enjoy gross stuff, and B, because I had to know. So they will remain in quarantine. They're going into stash in plastic bags, just in case. Because I don't know what's going on. Has this happened to anybody? I feel like a dirty person because I'm like, oh, I have lice. I don't have lice. It's like that feeling though when you're like, I promise I didn't do anything. I promise I'm not the dirtiest person ever. It's like that. Has this happened to any of you? Am I alone? You don't have to admit it's you, because I understand it's kind of a shameful, like I feel shame about it, even though I really don't feel like it's my fault. And I would not judge you if this thing happened to you. I would just be like, yes, it happened to me too. But I can understand how you might be concerned that other people would be like, oh my gosh, those dirty lice-headed people. I don't know. Ah! So anyway, so I did share my shame with you. A, in the hopes that somebody will be like, oh yes, those are clearly the blah, 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 larvae. And you have no worries, and that does happen occasionally. I don't know. I just don't know. Now I'm like already thinking I should edit that part out. I'm not gonna do it! I'll just own my shame. Moving on. And also I know that there was nothing in the fiber before I washed it because I touched it with all my hands when I spun it, but then I also washed it in very hot water to set it and stuff. So I just don't know. Clearly those flies were at fault, but they weren't like, oh, I don't know, whatever. I'm not gonna even talk about it. Moving on. spinning in progress. I am spinning some Rambouillet from Spun Right Round. I know, but it was just right here. Next time doing somebody else's stuff. So I'm spinning this, which is Jellyfish Rambouillet. And this is my last, what is this? This is 2/3 of an ounce. There it is in its fibrous form. And here it is on the bobbin. Bam! Right, can you see the purple? Because I couldn't really see it there as well. It's like purple and hot, hot pink and like golden beige camel color and cream. I'm really excited to see what it's going to be. It's going to just be a 2-ply because that's a lot of colors. The first, I broke the braid in half. So 2 equal braids, short braids. Then, and I spun one of them here. And then the other one I broke into 3rds. And that's what's on the other bobbin. I just put that in there for some reason. That's what it looks like. Is it cute? Oh, see there, you can see the purple butter. Totally not my palette at all. I'm just like going crazy. Okay, so that's all the spinning. And knitting. I have finished objects. Okay, this is a finished object that doesn't really count, but I need to own my shame on it. I should have totally looked up when it was that I finished this for realsies. I wonder if I can find that. I probably can't. Because Lord knows I don't think I have a project page. Don't judge me. Just dial it back. Oh, this isn't, oh, here, search. So last something, I mean, I really don't even know when it was. I feel like I intended to make this sweater for my husband for Christmas. I believe that was my intention. Actually, I believe when I started it, it was even like meant to be a fall gift. And then it moved to like a Christmas gift perhaps. And then it just went downhill from there, quite frankly. So I had finished it and it's been sitting. Wow, I tried to search beaver slide just to get, I evidently have made a million things beaver slide because that's not helping me anyway. This is an Ann Budd book, right? Oh, just whatever, you don't care. Here we go. So I made this sweater for my husband. It's Beaver Slide Dry Goods. It is their worsted weight, which I believe is a 2-ply. So it's a merino mohair blend. Beaver Slide, I feel like, is one of those you probably either love or hate. Apparently some people hate it. Sorry. I feel like I tried to be fully disclosure-y about it. It is a woolen spun yarn, and it does break. Like, it's not bad, but I also knit really loose. So that could be part of it too. So I don't have trouble with it breaking while I'm working with it, but some people probably could. But then because of that, there are a lot of knots in the skeins. I mean, a lot in that there are often at least 3 knots in the skein, I'm guessing. So that bothers some people, which I understand. It does not bother me because I know that the reason it's like that is because it is woolen spun and the singles are rather weak until they're plied. And so if the company actually had to, if they weren't able to knot it that many times in the skein, it would make their price insanely expensive. And I don't even know if they would be able to do it. And it would probably change this texture of the yarn in general. So I don't mind it because of all of those things. Because it's just woolly goodness. And I feel like those folks are really nice. And they live in Montana and so own sheep. So I like them. So this is just I think it's Ann Budd who does the pattern books that are all the formulas. It's a top-down raglan for my husband. He wanted this ribbing. All of this ribbing. But the shameful part of it is I had this zipper basted in since like Christmas. And now it's August and I just finally sewed it in. It's even been basted in. It's been sitting on the back of like the futon for that long. I am owning that shame right now. But now it's done. And it does fit him. And he does like it, I think. Although I really should put pockets in the thing. I should put pockets in it. But anyway, isn't it pretty? pretty. I still don't know what color it is. I'll try to figure that out. I was trying to look while I was telling you this story. Probably very badly. But anyway, so yeah, I did that. Yay! And then I also finished my Panda Silk DK. There's like 75 words for this thing. This Panda Silk DK shawl. So I'm looking for it right now because I do have a project page for it. That's right. I'm fancy some days, just not most days. Come on, Ravelry, hurry up. Okay, Panda Silk DK fan shawl, and it is by Gail Tanqueray. And this I made from my Loop hand spun. This is not her traditional bullseye bat, but it was one of bullseye bump, but is one of the shorter color repeats, and so it's all blocked out and everything. Right. Yay! And this pattern is DK, but this is like fingering, light fingering. It's just a single, but I think it turned out really well. It's approximately 44 by 22. I only know that because of the blocking mats. So it's a nice, generous size for things to happen. I always just wear things like that. I don't know how to make those. Ta-da! But I think it looks so cute. I'm very pleased with it, and I love these crazy colors. Did I say? Oh no, I didn't say it. This is the curry colorway. But didn't it turn out great? And I had enough yarn. Not much, but that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. I held my breath on these last few repeats, but it all worked out okay. Yay! So that's finished. What did I feel like this was on like 6s or something. Or 4s. Totally not the same thing. Whatever. Again, everything I'm knitting is on 4s. It gets confusing. So that is my knitting finished object. Also, it's sparkly. There's a close-up one. Can you see that sparkly? A little bit, maybe? Yay. Okay, so then, oh, I forgot that I also show wool piggery. Oh, I should have brought that over. Fail. I've been working on my community socks by Expanding Community by Megan. And oh, I redid the heel 3 times today. Okay, not 3 times today. I've done the heel 3 times. I kept messing it up. Not because of Megan's pattern, just because I was simple. So I meant to bring those over and I forgot. Oh well, I'll show them next time. So the other thing I am working on is my Mama Vertebrae. And this one is in Knit Picks Lindy Chain in the plum colorway. And I'm knitting it on US 4s and 5s. I'm randomly changing them. All right. Actually, I think I did 4s almost all the way through. Actually, secretly, I think I started on 5s and somehow changed to 4s and then changed back to 5s. I don't really know anymore. I don't know. But anyway, either way, it's fine. One needle for me, the gauge doesn't change that much. It's not terribly noticeable. So here it is. I got the body done. And I am on a sleeve. I think I'm going to do these as 3/4 sleeve is my plan. So I'm actually almost getting close anyway. So yay that. I think this one is going to fit. It has a smaller border, which I may still go back up and pick up and make wider. Even though it might look funky. I haven't decided yet. Oh, but I think it's going to fit better because I made the armhole depth shallower than I usually feel comfortable with. But this gauge is very loose and it stretches quite a bit, and it'll probably stretch out as I wear it because it's linen. So I felt comfortable making the armhole a little bit less deep than usual, and I think it's going to help it stay on my shoulders better. The other one does stay on my whole shoulders fine now. The one that I made out of cottonish, I made that band wider and it's dink. So little Minerva Turkey totally called me out on I think that might be really good for hiding my wings. And it's true. That is one of the best parts about this sweater. It's a great sweater for in the summertime. Like I usually wear, I'm so bad at fashion. It's terrible. But my uniform is like black capri yoga pants and black tank top. I know, right? I don't know. I can't break beyond it, evidently. Except when I go out places and then I'm like, oh, I should probably, like when I go to SSK, like, oh, I should wear a shirt. Like, I don't know. But anyway, so one of the reasons I made the other mama vertebrae was because sometimes I'm just feeling like I don't want people to know my secret superpower of winginess. I don't want everybody to know I can fly. Sometimes you gotta hold that in. You just put it out there, people will be jealous. Do you want to make people jealous? So sometimes I do like to wear a sweater to cover my superpower. Anyway. And this works well for that. Oh! Somebody, and I apologize, I didn't reply to you because I was going to talk about it here. Oh Lord. I meant to talk about it here, but I didn't think about it before I started this specifically this moment ago. But somebody asked me, the mama vertebrae does not go up to my bust size. My full bust size is 54. But I make a 46 sweater because that's my upper bust size. Right? I have bugs and I'm a 54-inch bust circumference. Really? This is like overshared 911. But I feel like I have to tell you the numbers so you understand. Like the mama vertebrae does not really go up to my size. And I'm trying to remember what it is. But it is a pattern. A, that usually doesn't stop me. Because, you know, usually you can just make it work. But B, this pattern is written for multiple gauges. So she actually has the math written out for you for fingering, sport, light worsted and worsted, I believe, are the options. So within that somewhere, you are likely, unless you're going a smaller yarn, like if you're going with a fingering, you're going to have to do your own math probably. But if you're doing a sport or a light worsted or a DK gauge, whether or not that's the yarn you're using, if you're using those gauges, then it's it's easy to find a size that fits you. Oh great, it's in metric. I'm sorry, metric revolutioners. Okay, so the largest metric size is 107.5 centimeters. I do remember that this was a thing because I had to work this all out. And I had to figure out what my circumference was in centimeters because I did not know. But let's just, for the sake of me trying to talk about this in a slightly coherent way, let's figure out what that is in inches. Okay, so 107.5 centimeters is in fact 42 inches. So even though I don't need to have the largest size of me, because A, that's a bust dart thing that you do, but B, oh, it doesn't go over your bust anyway. So you don't need to make any adjustments for your bust. So this is really a perfect time to test out if your Amy Herzog size really works for you, which is where you take your upper bust circumference. So with no boob in it. If you're like me and you have a lot of breast tissue, take your bra off. Let gravity assist you in this measurement and measure your upper bust circumference. Okay? Okay. So for me, it's 46 inches. Well, this one only goes up to 42. Wah, wah, wah. Not a big deal. Because really all I have to do is, this one is like nice in that it's laid out in charts. So like there's a chart for each gauge and circumference size that tells you like increase to this many back stitches essentially. So I can very easily say, okay, I need my sweater to be 46 inches. So that means the back is 23. Are you with me? Because it's half of 46. Let's, for example, say that my gauge is 5 stitches to the inch. And by the way, I did 0 ease. I just do 0 ease a lot, people. Not because, I mean, I do kind of like my clothes to fit snug, but knitwear stretches a lot. Especially if you knit a loose gauge. Especially when you start talking about making big sizes, there's even more room for it to stretch. Okay, so back to this though. So let's say that I'm 5 stitches to the inch and I need to have 23 inches across my back. So I multiply 5 by 23. Does that make sense? So I would need to look for the size or the configuration that has 115 stitches as the back width. So really all you have to do then is go into the little charty thing. I'll try to find the charty thing and like see. La 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 la. Okay, so I think I can show you this one thing, right? That's not like infringy. So for example, here is her chart of numbers. This on the vertical up and down is your gauges. So you see that fingering, you know. And then across is your centimeter circumference size. So even though I would really be like a J or something, which you can totally do and just extrapolate that number, just like keep going up. But I know that I need to have my back is like 100. These are the back stitches. So I need to have 115. So I just look on this chart and find the closest thing. Well, if I do the second gauge, so the sport gauge, and I can just go somewhere between F and G. Because F is 112 and G is 118. So if you want it a little looser, go with G. If you want a little tighter, go with F. That's all you have to do. So I apologize that I didn't answer that in an email, but that's a lot to try to put in an email. I hope you understand. And I'm sure it's a question that other people have too. Whew. I look so orange. Anyway, hopefully that's helpful. Okay, I think that's, okay, wool piggery. My lovely Joanna had an update. Joanna Spring of Knit Spin Farm. Right? That's Project Bags. And now, this is not from her sheepies, but this is from like the mother flock of her sheepies. So it's the Clun Forest roving. She did say Clun, right? I think. And you can see her shop is knitspinfarm.etsy.com. This is 4 ounces, and there is some vegetable matter in there. That doesn't bother me. I like it when it's sheepy. I'm not gonna lie. I just like it when it's sheepy. So yay, I think this is gonna be good. It has a lot of memory. It feels like it's gonna have a lot of good springiness to it and lots of good memory. So it should wear well for like mittens and things like that. And then I got that too, because I'm a sucker. This bat is called Winter Barnscape. There she is, Knit Spin Farm. It's BFL, Corriedale, Merino, Sari Silk, Silk, Cheviot, and Falkland. So Winter Barnscape. Are you ready? Because that's exactly what it looks like. Oh, by the way, she folded it all pretty and I messed it up because I had to look at it. Right. But you know what it also looks like? Apple time. It's almost apple time. Actually, technically it is apple time here in Indiana. We have our earliest varieties available right now. I'm trying to remember what it is. It's early gold and something else are out at the orchard now. I'm holding back. The orchard is a bit of a jaunt for me, and I don't want to get things. These are like the apples you have to refrigerate, which I'm not a real big fan of. Right. So I told Joanna, as soon as the high is like 60 degrees or less, give or take a day, maybe I'll be busy that day, I'm gonna like bake a bunch of stuff. Actually, I said I may bake the expletive out of something. And I'm gonna spin this. And there was something else I was gonna do. It was very autumnally and good. Maybe I'll drink some warm cider. I'm in love. Love is a very woolly thing. Love. Okay, so I also have a little bit to talk about in terms of like the sweater I'm going to try to do next, but I'll talk about that next time. Maybe I'll have actually started it then, because we're already at almost 40 minutes and come on, that's enough of me talking. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is shameless self-promotion. So if you're not interested in sticking around for that, I'll totally see you next time. Bye. If you are, you're secretly my favorites. I don't lie. So If you are on Instagram or any of these popular picture sharing things, you may have seen SSKers showing off their SSK bags. And now, the same print, sans SSK tag, is available for you. So this update will happen on Friday, August 8th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It will be large wedges and sweaters. And they have exciting linings! I don't usually get to do them because lots of times with decorators you cannot find coordinates. These are interfaced just because they're both twills and they're both decorator weight, but I just feel like they should be interfaced, even though I hate doing that. I love it. And also I like sleeping at night. I feel like I'm charging too much for things. So I interface them. And so then this is the sweater size. And you can see the print does vary. There's like a very paisley bit and a very flowery bit. It's a gamble to know which one you're gonna get. So you can include a note to seller, but I can't guarantee. And then they both, of course, have handles. So even though I'm very excited about my autumnal winter barnscape, it's still summer. Let's hold on to summer while we can. I know some of you are having really hot summers, I'm sorry. But we've had a beautiful one. So just savor the last little dregs. I know in our household, my husband has to remind me of that because I'm like, my daughter's back in school, it's fall. And he's like, no! Because he's a very thin, non-insulated man. And he is not happy that it might soon be cooler. Unlike his wife. So anyways, but it's still summer. Hold on to it. Anyway, I hope you have a lovely week. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye.